Jujutsu Kaisen continues to build off its established type with the latest events that happened in this new chapter. And although chapter 262 was pretty lackluster considering it's 7 pages long, in this case it's perfectly understandable because Gege's health is declining. He put out a Sukuna and Yutaru color spread with some fantastic artwork. He made his draft for the new cover of Shonen Jump with Yuji breaking through the page, which is really awesome. And most importantly, we got the popularity poll, where our Blue-Eyed King ranked first place as he rightfully deserves. But all in all, there were some interesting elements that we gotta talk about, so let's break it down. The chapter begins with Sukuna and Yutaru opening their domains, and what's crazy is that he has instantly capitalized on Gojo's moveset, managing to reduce the size of Unlimited Void's barrier to the size of a tiny basketball just like Gojo did. But something to note as this chapter goes on is that Yuta still isn't fighting at Gojo's level against Sukuna, which realistically we shouldn't have expected him to do so in the first place. You can't just copy Gojo. The idea on its own is idealistic at best, but against a severely weakened Sukuna, Yuta just has to close the gap as much as possible, and that itself should be sufficient for the time being. The narrator follows up by stating that Gojo's solution to handle Sukuna's open barrier domain was to make a small barrier domain that can contest with Malevolent Shrine, resisting its effects for approximately 3 minutes. That time frame would give him enough time to counter Sukuna, and Yuta, acting on Gojo's will, intends to do the same. Yuta is using his brain too. He's taken into account that Sukuna is heavily fatigued right now, so with that context, he believes that holding his own like Gojo did inside of Sukuna's domain for 3 minutes is more than possible. And since he's properly set himself up for the scenario by soul swap training with Gojo prior to Shinjuku, he has confidence that he can do this. But we gotta remember that Sukuna is a creative genius, ready to adapt to any and all situations, and by reducing the effective range of his curse technique to just around Yuta's barrier, he eliminated Malevolent Shrine's 99-second time limit, extending it until it overtakes Infinite Void. Yuta and Sukuna are both approaching this fight with very serious ambitions and goals that they intend to meet after this 3-minute countdown is over. Yuta's goal is to damage Sukuna enough during this window of opportunity to the point where he can no longer maintain Malevolent Shrine in any Jujutsu battle coming forward. While Sukuna's plans are just diabolical, he aims to destroy Infinite Void in under 3 minutes and expand his domain to finally kill everyone. He's taking the Scorched Earth approach. Now, battles of this magnitude in Jujutsu Kaisen are strictly ideological, and especially with a timer counting down on Yuta's copy, running the clock isn't an option. This situation is make or break, ride or die. And Yuta is very much doing his best to utilize Gojo's abilities, but he's finding it troubling. He tries to pull Sukuna using blue, but Sukuna instantly closes the distance and counters with a good ol' 1-2. Sukuna already fought Gojo at its peak, so he had ample time to learn effective strategies to cope with Infinity. And by simultaneously using domain amplification with his domain expansion, he can bypass Infinity and land attacks. And Sukuna is just having a ball. He's got this knowing that no intel will be leaked through Meimei's crows while the battle is going on inside this domain clash, so he basically sees the path of victory. It's all in reach. Now, interestingly, the scene switches as we now see a fully manifested Rika mourning and grieving for Yuta's lifeless body, with the editor's note stating that Rika has fully manifested, and that's it, so we're left off with this cliffhanger. Now, this on its own is kind of crazy, because Rika's return like this could imply an array of things. For example, a foreshadow of Yuta's actual death flag. From what was understood after Volume 0, Rika allegedly passed on, and the Rika after the fact is just a manifestation of Yuta's copy abilities. She's basically his personal storage unit. But now it seems like she actually has autonomy, and a level of free will beyond his curse technique. So maybe it's just the remnants of his abilities disappearing as the body swap is in action, because the consequences of Yuta's decision are still very much a mystery. I mean, it's ranging for forever living in Gojo's body to death. The odds really aren't that good for the kid. Or it goes much deeper, bringing back King Jaku's notion that the body and the soul are one and the same, which opens up an entirely different can of worms. The chapter ends with the basketball domain while Todo and Yuji watch in silence, and I think it's fair to say that Yuji is probably aware of what Yuta has done as he's witnessing Infinite Void in action. Ultimately, we still have to wait and see because we don't know his reaction. We don't know the look on his face, so he may not be prepared to encounter the reality of Yutaru. There's been several speculations that Yuji may walk on the dark side after confronting this revelation, that he could become the next Sukuna and embody all the qualities of an awful Jujutsu monster. But knowing Yuji and his mindset that is the strongest it's ever been. He's not cracking under this pressure. He's not going to break. His soul will remain resilient. But this basically sums up chapter 262. Again, to reiterate, due to Gege's health, JJK will be on break till the end of the month, meaning we may see a faithful return of Lobotomy Kaisen. But just to stave off your JJK hunger, I'll be at your beck and call, slamming down crushing content like a wrecking ball. And that's right, I just ended this video with the hardest bars you've ever heard.